Hey guys, I'm excited to share with you the hardest hamstring exercise that you can do without weights, the Nordic curl or the glute ham raise eccentric. Train this exercise and your hamstrings will grow bigger, stronger, and they'll become bulletproof from injury. If you're training this movement at a gym, a lat pull down machine is the perfect option. Set up by anchoring your legs underneath the pads, and I find it useful to place the pad further up on the calf. This makes it easier to produce greater force, which allows us to do more reps and use a harder progression. Now, in terms of foot placement, the research doesn't show any benefit to a foot flexed or a foot pointed position, dorsiflexion versus plantar flexion. Either way, the gastrocnemius calf muscle contributes to knee flexion. I recommend to choose whichever foot placement is the most comfortable and the one that allows you to create the most tension. During the exercise, I always like the mental cue of pulling the heels towards the bum as hard as I physically can. Because the exercise is so difficult, we want to contract our hamstring and calves as hard as we possibly can to survive the movement. A small tip that I find helpful is clenching the fists to encourage yourself to get as tight as you can throughout your entire body. To get the most out of the Nordic curl, set up in as much hip extension as you can. Ideally, the body will look relatively upright throughout range, especially when you look at it from the side. Fight to control as much of the lowering portion as you can. When you drop, catch yourself in the bottom of a push-up position, explode up and start again. Between reps, I like to reset the hip position. This way I know that I'm actually extending as much as I can at the hip before I lower down. Now let's take a look at the ankle position during the exercise. I find the ankles will stay neutral throughout the mid portion of the movement, which I can assume is to maintain the length-tension relationship of the posterior chain. As you can see towards end range, they naturally plantar flex when peak tension is needed. Now, as I mentioned, the goal is to extend the hips as much as possible when you lower down. But when you're new to the movement or not as strong, a more flexed hip position can be held throughout range. Staying more flexed at the hip allows you to descend lower before your hamstrings and calves give up. As you get stronger, extend the hips and stay as upright as you can during the eccentric. This small change in hip position completely changes the intensity. Try it and you'll see what I mean. So you're starting to get pretty strong at the eccentrics. Let's make it harder. Having the hands behind the head is the bodyweight way of adding weight to the exercise. Now you're forced to remain extended throughout the entire body, placing more tension on the hamstrings. Things definitely feel much more challenging with this small adjustment. The hamstrings will be screaming at you as they fight to extend the hip and flex the knee at the same time. Because the hamstrings are contracting eccentrically as the muscle lengthens, you'll build strength at long muscle lengths and bulletproof your hamstrings. People typically injure themselves at long muscle lengths. This will be way less likely if you train this exercise. At Fitness FAQs, you should know the progression doesn't end there. Let's take it further. Placing your arms in an overhead Y is a brutal final progression for the bodyweight version of the Nordic curl, aka the glute ham raise eccentric. You only have to take a look at my facial expression to understand the intensity we're working with now. Eccentric style training with this movement creates a significant amount of muscle damage, which is one of the key components for muscle growth. The truth is that you can definitely build leg size using only your body weight. If you want to learn more bodyweight exercises to grow big legs without weights, download my training program, Limitless Legs. In Limitless Legs, I outline what it takes to build muscle by body weight, high volume and plenty of variety to keep your leg training interesting. Thanks for watching, drop a thumbs up below and I'll see you next week on Fitness FAQs.